Okay now. So we did. What is the first discipline?
Focus.
Focus on what?
Goal.
Why the important goal?
Hello.
Very important.
Focus on
Very important.
what is important.
Done?
Okay.
Okay. So focus on the wildly important goal. It's called WIG. Followed by
Yeah.
wildly important goal.
Goal.
Okay. Now you can name different names with the book name. If you read Good to Great by Jim Collins, right? There the companies that become great, right? They have one of the characteristics. One of the characteristics is they define, he says, BHAGs. B-H-A-G. BHAG. Meaning bold and highly audacious goals. Bold and highly audacious, meaning extremely,
Power.
goals, right? Same thing with WIG goals. Different, different, like same thing, different textbooks use different words. The meaning is still the same, right? Okay, so now let's come to discipline 2. Act on the lead measures. Now what is this? Now let's take, any goal requires activities to be performed, actions to be taken, correct?
Yes.
Now this discipline rests on the principle that all actions don't have equal impact. Common sense. All actions will not have equal. There are certain actions which will have high impact on the goal to achieve the goal. Correct?
Yeah.
That is the discipline. Those are the lead measures. Okay? Those are the lead measures, right? And this is very important to understand, because you need to identify what are those few actions that will have a great impact, which if we do, will achieve our goal. You understand? Okay? So that is this discipline on leverage, the principle. Remember that execution's 4 principles: focus, leverage, engagement, accountability, right? So this is the leverage. Now you are taking the leverage of those highly impactful actions. They are called lead measures, right?
Also, can you elaborate on leverage for the benefit audience?
Leverage is taking support, taking help, right? Using the help of something to achieve something else. Now, for example, there's a big rock. Okay? How will you move the rock? You will take a lever, right? You will put a rod under the river and you will move the lever, correct? Right?
Yeah.
When you move the lever, the rock will move, right? That lever is called leverage. You understand now? You are taking leverage of that rod to move the, get the point? Clear? Anybody? Okay now. So, now look, as these are called lag measures, the goals, the lag measure means, now for example, your financial data, whether you earned profit or not in the restaurant, what is it? It's a lag measure, because by the time you get your profit, things have passed. Isn't it? Now, oh, we underwent a loss. Okay, now you can't do anything. Isn't it? That is a lag measure. It's lagged. It's finished.
It's behind.
It's behind. Oh, we did not do much sales this year. That's a lag measure, because it's past now, right? Many of the organizations, they go on to say, is that they try to manage the company based on the lag measures, right? Like, we did not do well this year, but that's past. As Deming, you know Deming, the father of total quality management, right? He says that companies that run by looking at their lag measures, the financial data, the profit loss data, it's like driving a car looking into the rear view mirror. It is all past, right? Now what is it that we have to do? That's the thing. So they are called lag measures because they are past. Now every lag measure which you want to achieve, right, must have a lead measure. Means what are the measurements or actions that we must take which will help us increase our profits? You understand? What are the few actions that we must take that will help us increase our customer database? You understand? Right? So these are called lead measures. Act on the lead measures. Now every lead measure that you take must have two characteristics. It must be predictive and it must be influenceable. What do we mean by predictive? That means if this works, it will affect our goal also. It's predictive, right? And it should be influenceable. That means we can do it. It's within our control to do it. For example, if suppose your goal is to reduce weight by 5 kgs, okay, in 3 months time or in 1 month's time, for example. Now after 1 month, when you step on the scale, you will know whether you have achieved or not. What is that? It's a lag measure, isn't it? It's done. Now you can't, if it's increased by 2 kilos, you can't. It's increased. Correct? Right? But what is it that you have to do in order that your weight must reduce by 5 kg?
You have to monitor.
You understand? You can do maybe so many things out of that. One, control the calorie intake. Right? Exercise. I'm giving you, are these the lead measures now?
Yes.
If you do them, it will impact your goal. Are you understanding? Right? Now, controlling the calories definitely is going to reduce the weight, and exercising appropriately is definitely going to affect your weight loss. Isn't it? Is it predictive?
Yes.
Is it predictive? Yes, because these measures are predictive of the achievement of the goal. Correct? Is it influenceable? That means you can control the calories, you can exercise. Isn't it? I can't exercise for you.
It's in my control.
So it is influenceable and it is predictable. So such measures are lead measures. Okay, let's take, there is a farm. Okay, McDonald's for example, or whatever, corn farm. Now their goal, their WIG, they have brainstormed and they came up with a WIG. Increase corn production from 200 million tons to 300 million tons by December 31st, 2022. It's a big farm, imagine. That's the goal they have come up with. Okay? Now what could be the lead measures? If suppose they write, okay, our lead measure is abundance of rainfall or proper rainfall. Is it a lead measure?
No, it's not predictable.
Not influenceable.
It's not it is predictable. If proper rain falls on the farm, appropriate rainfall,
Not in the, not
definitely the
influenceable.
corn yield will grow, right? But is it influenceable?
No, not in.
It's
not
predictive, but it's not influenceable. So this is not a good lead measure to work with. You understand? Are you getting the concept? Because further you need to understand. Because this is the essence of execution. This is your action plan, what we call in the normal terms. Isn't it? Because if your action plan is faulty, you will be busy the whole day, but you will not achieve it. Yes.
The word predictive, so as you said, rainfall. If it is predictive, it is predictive. Rainfall is predictive. So
How?
Sir said that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, rainfall is predictive. No, if rain falls appropriately,
Okay, then
right?
it is
If,
predictive.
okay, yeah, it's predictive.
Okay, and that eventually it is influential.
Is it under your control?
Not in
Not
our-
under right.
That is
Yes,
what
yes,
I mean. It should be under your control. Now, for example, controlling calories will reduce your weight. Is it predictive?
Yes.
Yes, Is it influenceable?
Yes.
It's under your control to control the calories, how much you're going to have. Are you getting it, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So get the point now? So any lead measure you plan out, any action plan must have these two characteristics. Otherwise, it's not a good lead measure. You get it? Now you know what are the two things you must think on your action plans. Okay. Now, leverage. It's like, this discipline is like a lever. You have your wig, right? Your wig is too big. You will have your lead measures which will move the wig slowly, step by step, like a lever. When you move the lever, what happens?
It moves.
The
Action
rock
is
moves.
taken.
The movement of the lever is influenceable by you,
Yes.
and if the lever moves, the rock moves. So it's predictable. You understand? Okay. Now, fine. We know the lead measure is very important. How do we act on the lead measures now? That's what we're going to see. Right? Now, there are 3 difficulties in installing lead measures in discipline 2, in working on this. What are they? Lead measures can be counterintuitive. That means it's so simple that you tend to overlook. Right? Exercising, everybody knows it. Now, of course, I know if you exercise, you're going to do it. Right? But how many of them really focus on it? Intake of calories, yes, it reduces. Right? So then lead measures are hard to keep track of. That's where many of the companies, they haven't been focusing on the lead measures, right? It's very hard. Now, we have to increase customer satisfaction. For example, if the goal of a restaurant is increase customer walk-ins from 100 to 200 by June, that's your goal. Now, if you have designed your lead measure that the waiter must smile at the customer when he enters the hall, how will you keep track of that? But it is a lead. If a customer is satisfied when the waiter smiles the moment he enters, right? Like in one of the Marriott hotels or one of the hotels, one of their goal was to increase their customer satisfaction from certain percentage to a certain percentage, whatever the terms are in the hotel, restaurant, hotel management,
Footfall,
right?
maybe footfall.
From this percentage to that percentage by this one. One of the lead measures the team defined was to take care of the needs of the customer, or something like that. Now, one customer says that when I checked into this hotel, say for example in Jeddah, for example, right, and I left my half cigar in the room, and I told the what do you call that boy, okay, that when I come back, right, let that cigar be there. So when I came back, I found the same brand, a new cigar, okay, from the hotel, taking care of the customers. That was not surprising, he says. After months, when I went to the same brand hotel in another place, I found the same brand cigar in my room.
Capturing the data.
That means they were, now look at their lead measures, how they are working. You understand now? So that is called, how will you keep track? So it's not that easy. So many of them ignore this because lead measures are hard to keep track of. Okay? Lead measures often look too simple. Oh, what's a big deal, man? Right? So no need of this, no need of that. Then, okay, lead measures. You can have your lead focus on the weekly result. When you're having the lead measures, the actions, okay, by the end of this week, right, what is the result we are going to achieve by doing these actions? Those are called small outcomes. Leverage behaviors are how is the behavior going to change. This one, in leverage behaviors, you're tracking the behavior, not the result. Let's take the example of restaurant. Okay, in a week, how many customers walked in? That's small outcomes, isn't it? You can keep track. How many customers walk in? Okay, fine. 10 customers walked in this week. That's your lead measure is customer satisfaction, right? And your goal is increase the customer walk-ins. Lead measure, increase customers by in this second week 10 customers more should walk in, right? So by the end of the week, you will know whether they walked in or not, isn't it? Leveraged behavior is, did our waiters smile at them? Now, you are not interested in whether 10 customers walked in or 5 walked in. Here, you are interested, did they smile? You understand? This is change of behavior. You get it? Here you are focused on behavior change. Here you are focused on weekly result. Right? Now again, how do you go on coming up with this? Consider the possibilities. Okay, what are the actions that we must take? Brainstorming session. Then what could we do that we have never done before that might make all the difference to the week? Now, one of the ways of brainstorming. What is it that we can do that we have never done before that can make an impact on the what action? Right? Now, as one person, he says that if you want to accomplish something that you have never accomplished before, you must do things that you have never done before. Okay? So, step 1, consider the possibilities. And how do you do that? What could we do that we have never done before that might make all the difference to the wing? Second, what strengths of this team? Again, what are the pockets of excellence? Come on, what is your strength? How can we use that? How can we leverage that in order to achieve the wing? Then, what weaknesses might keep us from achieving the wing? What could we do more consistently? Okay, how can we overcome that weakness? We need this action, but our team is lacking this, right? So how can we get that done? Now, rank, once you have connected that, rank by impact. Of course, you have 10, 15 lead measures, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? So you better watch out for what? The more you try to do, the less energy you have to give to any one thing. Remember that focus thing. The same thing will apply. Narrow down your lead measures. Again, lead measures are those few actions that will have a high impact on achieving your goal. Not all actions. Get this? This is a very extreme fine point that you must keep in mind.
It's again connecting with the focus.
With the focus. Focus you already developed. You narrow down, you only have 1 or 2 goals, that's all. Now to achieve that 1 or 2 goals, instead of taking 100 actions, you take 1 or 2 actions, which are highly impactful. Then, test top ideas. Okay? Is it predictive? How will you test? Okay, this is the lead measure. Is it predictive? That means if you do this, will that goal move? Right? Can we influence it? Okay? Is it an ongoing process or a once and done? Again, if it's an ongoing process, like for exercising, I achieve my 5 kilo low at the end of the month. But the process is ongoing, exercise, the lead measure is ongoing, exercise and reducing of calories. I have to maintain that. Remember, once you achieve the wig comes in the whirlwind. Right? And then, is it a leader's game or a team game? Who gets the result again? Right? Who plays? Is it the leader who is responsible for the result, or is it the team? If it's the team goal, your sales team is responsible. Right? Only because if they are responsible, they will put in their energies. Can it be measured? Right? How? Can we know whether we are achieving and moving forward or not? Is it worth measuring? First of all, again, okay, fine, we can measure, but is it worth doing this? Right? And then define the lead measure. Okay, you narrowed down from 15, we are going to take these 3 actions. High impact. Now you must write it down, right? Now, just to point, writing is an activity which many of us don't do.
Yes, usually.
Many of us, right? Including myself. Right? Why? Writing is a psychoneuromotor skill. Because when you are writing, you are creating impressions in your brain of whatever you are writing. Writing, the scientists say, it gives you a sense of commitment. Only if you take a piece of paper and you write that I am going to attend today's meeting at 4:45. Just write. right? It develops a sense of commitment and it sticks in your mind for a longer period of time than if you just say, I have a meeting at 4:45. And of course, you don't have to write every single thing, but when you write goals, it is also said that the difference between a wish and a goal is a goal is written and a wish is not written. Right? So you write down the goals. That's what, when I give seminars to students in colleges online, I tell them, write down your goal, write it down. Right? Writing is a very important thing. Define the lead measure. Are we tracking team or individual performance? Again, you are working as a team, right? So what are we tracking here? Are we tracking your performance or the team's performance as a whole? Then are we tracking the lead measure daily or weekly? These actions, whether we did this or not, are we focusing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis? Now this all depends upon the kind of goal you have set. It depends on the kind of lead measures you have taken.
Based on
Isn't
the
it?
project.
Based on your project by project things, right? Like calories, you will track daily, right? Exercise maybe weekly, 3 times in a week I will do it. Okay? Then what is the quantitative standard? How much are you going to work, right? And what is the qualitative standard? What is the quality of the work that we are trying to achieve? This further maybe a little quality. How will you determine the quality of the action? Now, quantity, you can keep track whether the guy smiled at the customer, but you can't keep track of the quality. How was his smile?
How many times is
Right? How many times you may, you can't keep. So quality also of the smile. He may just smile, isn't it? He may smile from heart.
Yes.
So sometimes some lead measures. So depending on the lead measure, you can.
How that can be measured?
Does it start with a verb? Again,
Oh.
action. Right? It must be action oriented. It must start with a verb. Smile to every customer who enters the restaurant. Smile is a verb, isn't it? Not every customer who enters to the restaurant you must smile. The meaning is the same. It's still the same, but it's not defined properly. Smile to every customer who enters. Now it becomes a verb, right? So now, is it simple? Again, no long stories. Keep it simple. Action plan. What is the deliverable?
lead measure?
Lead measure, yeah.
What is the deliverable?
That's in goals.
Huh?
The action plan is
In discipline 2, what is the deliverable? Yes,
the lead measure.
the lead measures, right? And what are lead measures?
The lead measure is to, yeah.
Let me hear from
Influencing.
the backbenches.
The predictable and influence.
They must be predictable. Okay.
It is very simple.
Sorry,
It is to be simple.
what should be simple?
The idea and the focusing.
What
on
are
the-
lead measures? The highly impactful actions, if you have to put it that way. Okay. So small set, 1 or 2, right? That will move the lag measure on the. Now this is very important. It should move your the liver must move, shake the rock. Remember that? The liver, when you move, must shake the rock. Otherwise, all your actions, you are too busy but unproductive. Isn't it?
Whatever we do, there should be, the action should be
Influence.
influence.
It must change that thing.
There has to be an incremental.
There
change.
must be incremental action. Of course, it will be incremental only because you can't achieve overnight, right? So that was discipline 2. Okay? This is keep a compelling scoreboard. This is pretty short.
Yes, we'll continue.
Okay? Now, keep a compelling scoreboard. You know what this means? It's self-explanatory.
Measure.
Explain it.
Just measure it.
Keep track of whether you are moving or not. Isn't it? You know, it is said, if you're not keeping track of the score, you are merely practicing, not playing the game. The real game is what? When?
There is
The
a
score.
When there is a score.
Scoreboard.
When you know whether you're winning or not. Isn't it? When there is no scoreboard, you will not know whether you're winning or not. A scoreboard does not necessarily mean a board. It can be of different forms, right? As long as you're keeping track of whether you're winning or not. Right? Now, this is the discipline of engagement. It is this which engages the people into it. Yes, we are winning. Have you seen teams? The moment you start keeping score, their very behavior to play the game changes. Take away the score. Oh, we are not keeping track of score. Everybody is lax.
Because of practice match.
Right? It becomes like a practice-friendly match. Right? So score keeps the team engaged. Get the idea? Right? Now, and the scoreboard, how should it be? There is one, in every game, there are two types of scoreboards. One is the coach scoreboard. The coach has a scoreboard. Another is the player's scoreboard. And what we are here is the player's scoreboard. Right? The player has to only see whether he's winning or not. Virat Kohli must see how many runs he has hit and how many more to hit. But the coach will keep track how many slips, how many in this direction, I don't know the cricket terms, how many in this direction, how many backwards, how many wicket keeping runs. You see now? In the football.
In detail.
The coach will keep track of every single detail of the players, how many here, how many there, how many there. On TV also when they show the score,
Yes.
that is the coach score,
How many are
right?
offside?
But for the player, the scoreboard has to just look, am I winning or no? Or is the team winning or no? Isn't it? So the scoreboard, when you design, it must be simple. Right? There are no hard and fast rules of it shall be like this, like this. Like for example, a football scoreboard. You only know what is the half time left, how many goals each team has scored. That's all. The moment you look at it, you will know whether who's winning or losing. Isn't it?
Indicative.
So keep a compelling scoreboard. Now, so if the scoreboard has to be there, should it be hidden?
No. Clearly.
Common sense. It has to be visible.
Yes.
Right? So obviously the next slide speaks for itself. Good. You are getting smarter and smarter as we are moving. Right?
We're always part of inshallah.
Now, scoreboard motivates the players to win. Good. Now, what is the characteristic of a compelling? How should the scoreboard be? What should be the characteristics? Number one, it should be simple. Right? Not too complicated, too many lines, too many graphs to show how skilled you are in graph charting. Right? It should be simple. Maybe a line graph or a bar, whatever. Can I see it easily? Can I means the team? Right? Can we see it easily? The moment we walk into the company, we know whether we are winning or not this week.
Yes.
Right? So can I see it easily? Does it show lead and lag measures? It must show where we are supposed to be, where we are.
Lead lag.
Isn't it? Where you're supposed to be is your lag measure. Same thing with exercise, if you can keep a track, right? 15 days have passed, I'm supposed to lose 2 kgs by now. How many have I lost? So the moment you look at it, you'll know how much you need to put in efforts. Now, can I tell at a glance if I'm winning? You don't have to stand at the scoreboard and keep looking, analyzing, and then after 15, 20 minutes, we are losing. Or we are winning. No, nobody looks at the scoreboard like that. Imagine like a game. The moment you look at the scoreboard, you must know whether you're winning or losing. Your team. Are we winning? Are we achieving or no? Are we moving forward or not? Right? So whatever scoreboard you design, it must meet these characteristics. Correct? People play differently when they are keeping score. Obviously, it motivates them. Then a coach scoreboard is not a player's scoreboard, as I told you. Right? Then scoreboard motivates players to win. Now, keep a compelling scoreboard. How do you install this? Look, you can have these kind of graphs, or not necessarily to this, you can personalize it also up to, depending on your team or whatever it is, right? You can just form a table also. Somebody keep an Excel sheet. As long as the moment you look at it and say that you are winning or losing, it's a scoreboard for you. Get it? Right? Now, how do you design is it simple and also okay. Build the scoreboard. Now, as a team, there'll be a team leader, right? Right? The step 4 is keep it updated, obviously. Right? The scoreboard has to week by week, or depending upon whether you're tracking your lead measure daily or weekly. Remember that? If you're tracking your lead measures daily or weekly, right?
It has to be.
You will be updating your scoreboard, isn't it? It has to be updated. It is the responsibility of the leader to see that the scoreboard is updated. Correct? He may not necessarily go and update, but he will assign somebody, right? It must be updated.
But he should take the responsibility.
who is responsible for the scoreboard? Of course, the leader or the team will decide, okay, Mr. Siraj, you are responsible to keep updating the scoreboard on a weekly basis because we are tracking the results weekly.
Yes.
You understand? Because it depends on how we track. Then, when will it be posted? Obviously, it will be somewhere.
Where the KPI?
And by suppose let's take, if your weekly meetings, by Friday afternoon, it must be posted. Whatever. Then how often will it be updated depending on whether it's day or weekly? Okay. So what is the deliverable? The scoreboard that keeps the team
Engaged.
engaged. Correct? So what are the three disciplines?
Focus.
Focus.
Focus on
leverage.
what? Focus on what?
Week.
Focus on widely important.
WIG, week.
Focus on which movie is releasing next week.
WIG.
Focus on what? On widely important
Widely
goal that
important
you want to achieve. Okay. Then discipline 2,
Leverage.
Leads and meetings.
act on the lead measures. Leverage. Okay. 3,
3 is
Accountability. No, three is the compelling scoreboard.
it's engagement.
Scoreboard, yes.
Engagement.
engagement. The principle is engagement. This scoreboard will help you keep the team engaged. You understand? Okay. Now let's move on to the last one, which is creating a cadence of accountability. Right? Till now, you have only defined the rules. The real game starts now. Right? Accountability. Remember that? It's one of the reasons why lack of execution happens. Accountability. Right? Now, we have to develop or create a cadence. Cadence means a rhythm. A rhythm of accountability. A routine. Right? So let's see what this is. These are called WIG sessions. You can call it, the book calls it as WIG, widely important goal sessions. Okay? Now you have your WIG, you have your lead measures, the actions that you're supposed to take, correct? You have your scoreboard to know whether you're winning or losing. Now you have to take accountability for your actions, correct? You can track your WIG having a weekly meeting, right? Depending on your availability, depending on the goal, either you can have daily meeting or a weekly meeting, but not more than bi-weekly. Weekly is an ideal thing. Why? Because we sense work in terms of chunks of weeks, isn't it? That's why you see in 7 Habits also, weekly plan. Because we are seeing week Friday to Saturday as one chunk of a piece of work unit. We are not seeing it as daily, right? So that's why weekly sessions, right, is ideal. But depending on daily, it depends on the nature of work. Get it? So weekly sessions, weekly planning. Now, very important thing. Whatever you decide on your weekly sessions, I'll call it as week sessions, right? They must happen on the same day at the same time every week. Why? This is one of the things which they insist.
Measure the progress.
Same day, you can measure the project even, it must happen. Try your best to have the week sessions on the same day at the same time.
It will have an impact on the
Discipline.
mind,
Discipline.
subconscious
It
mind.
has a discipline and it builds a behavioral change.
Habit
It
formation.
becomes a habit formation to form the weekly meeting. I was working in school, we had this every morning, first 5 minutes before getting into the classes, we had this meeting. So it was like, everybody knows now, it's 8 to 5 you have a meeting. You understand?
It becomes habit.
It becomes a habit, right? And you don't have to keep on telling, today we have a meeting, tomorrow we have a meeting, this time no meeting. You know, all those kind of things. So, every weekly sessions, see to it that you have it on the same day, preferably or most likely on the same time. So decide which is the convenient time, right, to all this. And in your weekly meetings, you should not discuss your whirlwind. You know what whirlwind means? The day job, your routine job.
Routine.
You know, yesterday I came at 5 o'clock from office, I did this, or even in the meetings, in the office meetings, right? You will start discussing on things that your routine job, right? The leader has to see to it, whoever is responsible, that in your weekly week sessions, right, the whirlwind is not discussed. If someone brings about some whirlwind issue, the daily routine issue, so we will speak about this after the meeting. You understand? You get it? So it becomes the responsibility of the leader to control the week session. Now, what is the 3 agenda of any week session? Account reports on commitments. Remember, assuming they are weekly sessions. Last week you committed that you will meet 2 people, Ahmed and Siraj. What happened? You see, if this is your second week session. Account report on commitments. Yes, last week I committed to meet Siraj, right? I went there to his office, I met him and blah, 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 blah. Your report, right? So that's your accounting for your last week's commitment. Then, review the scoreboard. Learn from successes and failures. Okay, where are we this week? Did we achieve what we wanted to achieve compared to, are we moving forward? Remember that scoreboard, right? Then, plan. Clear the path and make new commitments, right? Fine, I could not meet Siraj last week because my car is gone for the garage. It's not going to come 2 weeks from now. Okay, you can use my car. Clear the, as a leader, I'm saying, clear the path, whatever necessary is required for further commitment of the following week. Remember, it's weekly sessions, right? Understand that? 3-point agenda: account, review, and plan. Simple. Account for your previous week's commitments, review your scoreboard and see whether you're winning or losing, and plan. Then, in the week session, the most important thing, that question that has to be asked: what are the 1 or 2 most important things I can do this week to impact the lead measures? Starting of the week, following week. Now, what are the 2 things that I am going to do? I am going to commit myself, right, which will have an impact on moving the goal, moving the scoreboard. 1 or 2, right? I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, I will do that. 1 or 2, most important. Do not ask, what is the most important thing I can do this week? Not this, right? It is one most important things that will have an impact on that. Then, obviously, your weekly commitments, right, with your predictive and influenceable lead measures will definitely move the lag measure. It's all like a gear, right? Now, that is all about this one, right? Remember one thing: if you want to accomplish something that you have never accomplished before, you must do something that you have never done before. So now start doing. Thank you very much for watching.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was really good.